The tribe carried the boy into the cave, his leg a ruin of crushed bone and torn flesh. The shaman Rokan began his chant, burning sacred herbs over the flat stone altar.
That wound is already turning black. The boy is going septic.
Talos screamed, the sound bouncing off painted walls. The shaman called it the spirit's cleansing, but the boy's skin grew hot, his breathing shallow. Rokan's ritual could not stop the infection.
I remember every textbook. This is not healing. It's a slow execution.
That night, Kazu slipped from the camp, his mind already sharpening a plan. He found the flint knapper's pile and searched for the one stone that could cut cleaner than bone.
Obsidian, a blade so fine it splits a hair, that will cut through infection.
In the darkness, he worked the shard by feel, a surgeon's weapon born from the earth and his memory. By the low firelight, he pressed a bone tool against the obsidian, flaking off razor-thin shards with practiced precision.
My hands remember the weight of a steel scalpel, but this stone will serve the same purpose.
Years of study, every textbook burned into memory, had prepared him for this brutal clinic. He tested the blade. A single hair fell apart at the lightest touch, sharper than any tool this world had seen. Inside the cave, Talos' breath came in shallow gasps. His mother wept against the cold stone floor.
The spirits have claimed him. There is nothing more that can be done.
But Kazu watched from the shadows, fingers tightening around his new weapon.
If I wait any longer, he'll die. Rokan is not a healer. He is a gatekeeper of death.
He rose, tucking the scalpel into his belt. This would not be a quiet night. The night was still, but inside the cave, a battle between old spirits and new knowledge was about to ignite. At dawn, the hunters returned, carrying Garn, his belly torn open by mammoth tusks. Intestines bulged through the wound, dark blood soaking the hides wrapped around him.
Lay him on the stone. I will call upon the spirits to guide his soul.
Stop. Another chant won't save him. I can close the wound and stop the bleeding.
You dare interrupt? The boy suffers from your defiance. Now, you poison this hunter with your cursed blade.
Hold. Let my son speak. If he fails, he is cast out, no longer my blood. Do you accept, Kazu?
I accept. Bring boiling water and wood ash. Nala, fetch the largest clay pot.
The tribe stared as Kazu scrubbed his hands with ash and poured boiling water over his obsidian scalpel.
Infection is the real enemy. If I keep the wound clean, his body can heal.
Rokan stood apart, hatred smoldering in his eyes, but even he did not dare defy the chief's command. The obsidian blade parted skin like a whisper. The tribe gasped as Kazu opened Garn's belly. Some covered their mouths. Others gripped the children tight. No one dared look away.
Nala, hold here. Keep the wound open, and don't let go, no matter what.
With steady hands, he cut away the dead tissue, each slice more precise than the last. He sewed the healthy ends, together with sinew. The stitches pulled tight as a basket, weaver's craft. Hours crawled by in the smoky cave. The only sounds were Garn's shallow breath and the rhythmic drip of water. Finally, he closed the skin, wrapping the wound in clean hides soaked with boiled water. Garn's chest rose and fell. Slowly, color returned to his ashen face. Rokan stormed from the cave, his curses swallowed by the darkness. The tribe stood as if turned to stone. In the flickering torchlight, a new kind of fear took hold among them, the fear of hope. Garn grew stronger each day, but deep in the cave, Talos' fever burned unchecked. By the fourth sunrise, the boy's body was cold. Rokan lifted him for all to see.
Your blade saves one, but the spirits claim another. This is the price of defilement.
He's using the boy's death to tear the tribe apart. I need more than a scalpel. I need a system.
Kazu gathered 2 women, Nala and Sula, and began teaching them to wash wounds with boiled water. They scrubbed the cave floor, threw out rotting hides, and burned the shaman's old idols to stop sickness.
These idols carry filth. The spirits of healing demand cleanliness, not rot.
But to the traditionalists, The fire was sacrilege. They clutched their animal-teeth charms in horror.
He burns the sacred. He will drown us all in unclean spirits.
The rift widened. In the Cave of Healing, 2 tribes now lived, the cave filled with wounded hunters and coughing elders. Each failure grist for Rokan's accusations. An old woman died under Kazu's care, her fever unbroken. Rokan seized the moment.
He is not a healer, but a demon who brings death. Cast him out before the spirits destroy us all.
A mob formed, torches in hand, fear curdling into rage.
They are terrified. If I back down now, any chance of saving this tribe dies with me.
But before the mob could strike, Chief Torak stepped forward, his voice cracking like old leather.
Hold! Kazu saved Garn. I will hear no talk of banishment until I am dead.
The mob hesitated, but Rokan's poison had already seeped deep into their hearts.
Father's authority won't hold them forever. I need to find the real cause of this sickness.
Outside, storm clouds gathered, mirroring the brewing tempest inside the cave. Within days, a new sickness swept the tribe. Bellies cramped, fevers blazed, and bodies shook without mercy. Kazu watched those who drank from the stream worsen. A pattern emerged, cold and sharp.
The sickness lives in the water. Boil every drop, or we will bury half the tribe.
He ordered all water boiled, but at night, shadows dumped waste upstream, undoing his work.
The ancestors scream for blood. Only the life of the defiler will quench their rage.
Kazu found the animal carcass rotting near the spring, proof of sabotage, but no proof for the tribe.
Rokan's hand is in this. But in their fear, they'd kill the messenger before the truth.
The shaman's voice grew louder, the mob larger with each death.
Sacrifice the pale-eyed butcher. His blood will wash the spirits clean.
Between the plague and the mob, Kazu stood alone. The scalpel could cut flesh, but not this fear. That night, Chief Torak crumpled. His belly swelled hard as stone, and his breath came in shallow, painful gasps.
A blockage. If I don't cut, the rot will spread, and he'll be dead by sunrise.
The spirits have abandoned him for your heresy. No blade comes near the chief.
Then I will do it in secret. Nala and Sula will have to help me move him tonight.
In the dead of night, Nala and Sula lifted the chief and carried him to a hidden rock alcove deep in the cave. Kazu laid out his tools on a flat stone, obsidian scalpel, bone needles, sinew, and pots of boiled water.
Kazu, if you are caught, they will kill us all.
If I do nothing, he dies anyway. Hold the torch steady. Don't make a sound. This is the only way. The shaman would let him rot, but I won't.
The hidden alcove was silent. In the flickering light, the first incision was only a breath away, but the scent of blood drew Rokan. He burst into the alcove, torchlight blazing, followers at his heels.
I knew you would defile him. Stop this madness before his soul is forever tainted.
Nala and Sula threw themselves between Rokan and the stone. A handful of hunters pushed back the shaman's mob.
Back away, shaman. The chief chose this path. He trusted his son.
Kazu's hands never stopped. He drained the abscess, then cut away the dead intestine with machine precision. The chief's breathing steadied. The angry swelling in his gut began to ease as the foul matter was drained. Rokan froze, his curse stuck in his throat. The chief was alive, his eyes fluttering open.
Continue, my son. Do not let him stop you.
This is not over. The spirits will have their due. I will see you both in the dark.
As the last stitch was pulled, Kazu knew the shaman would not stop, but neither would he. Chief Torak's strength returned. He sat up by the fire, his voice firm once more, seeing him alive. The tribe shed its fear. Trust in Kazu's blade grew like new grass. Desperate, Rokan crept to the spring with a pouch of nightbloom, a killer's root, but a young hunter tackled the shaman before the poison touched the stream. The pouch was brought before the chief. Rokan's lies, at last, were dragged into the light.
You poisoned our water. killed our elders, and tried to murder my son. You are no shaman. You are a murderer.
Before the tribe, Kazu showed the foul water and the rotting carcass. The truth was undeniable.
Fools. The spirits will curse you. Without me, the winter will consume you all.
The tribe roared. Hunters dragged Rokan out, his staff broken. His staff broken, his face stripped of power.
From this day, this cave is the healing haven, where the knife cuts to save, and knowledge is the new spirit.
The cave transformed. One side a surgical den, the other rows of clean recovery pallets.
Nala, Sula. Boil every knife before and after use. No dampness, no filth. The knife must be as pure as the healing.
He set a hunter's shattered leg with twisted bark and a weighted stone, the man's scream fading into grateful sleep.
A single blade cannot heal the world, but it can teach 1,000 hands.
When a gangrenous limb turned black, Kazu took it clean off at the thigh. The patient breathed.
No one believed you would succeed. Now, no hunter dies from a wound.
The scalpel has become more than a knife. It is the tribe's new heartbeat.
The children now play with bandaged sticks, pretending to be healers, not hunters.
The healing haven hummed with life. Every surface scrubbed, every wound a battle fought with knowledge. But Kazu knew this was only the beginning. The world outside had yet to knock on their door. Strangers emerged from the trees, a rival clan carrying a warrior with a crushed skull.
The swelling presses his brain. I must drill, or he dies by nightfall.
The emissary knelt and spoke. Save him, and there shall be peace. We will come not as raiders, but as brothers. Kazu called for a bow drill. The cave fell silent as the obsidian bit touched the man's skull. With a steady rhythm, he spun the drill. Bone dust drifted like fine snow.
One wrong move, and I shatter more than bone. I will end any hope of peace.
The bone disc came free. The warrior's eyes opened. His breath no longer labored. The emissary wept. He lives. The demon is gone. Our spears are yours forever.
A healed body can heal a hateful heart. Today, an enemy became a brother.
As the emissary left, carrying their warrior whole, the winds carried the name Healing Haven across the land. The rival chief himself came, where Rokan's smoke once choked the air. Now rows of the living thanked the blade.
Warriors come to trade furs for sutures. The scalpel has carved a road no spear ever could.
Strangers bearing twisted bones and swollen bellies poured in. Every wound was a plea to learn, not just to heal.
Ash and boiling water. That is the only prayer we need. Scrub until your skin turns pale.
Nala and Sula moved through the crowd, demonstrating bandaging. The clinic had become a school. The cave walls bloomed with new paintings, obsidian knives and closed wounds, replacing mammoths and spears. Trade routes branched like veins from the heart, carrying obsidian shards and ash washing to the mountain clans and beyond.
But a school without walls can lose its way. I cannot be the only voice for long.
The healing haven strained under the crush of the desperate. More cots were needed, more hands, more hours of light. Kazu looked upon the sea of hopeful faces and felt a new weight, not just healing the body, but birthing a legacy of healers. Seasons turned. Nala and Sula became the steady hands and calm voices that commanded the healing haven in his stead.
I am old, my son. The tribe needs a chief. Take my place. Lead with the wisdom that saved us.
I am a healer, Father. The knife is my calling. Let another lead the hunts and the councils.
The tribe murmured, but accepted. A new chief rose, but the heart of the haven remained the one who refused the crown.
The scalpel is lighter than a crown, but it has carved a kingdom of the saved.
Among the young, a boy lingered beyond the others, his eyes never leaving the blade as it closed a wound.
He has your steady gaze, Kazu. But steadiness must be forged. Will you teach him?
I will teach him not just the cut, but the mind behind it. The haven must live beyond my hands.
The boy's first suture held. Crooked, but it held. The next generation of healing had taken root.
But the world still holds ailments I cannot see. The next trial will find him. not me.
Traders brought strange, hard swellings. Then flesh began to melt, and strength vanished.
These are not wounds. Something lives inside, feeding on them.
The plague spread faster than fire. Boiling and herbs did nothing. The tribe whispered of a curse.
I must cut into the swelling. If I see what hides within, I can fight it.
To cut where there is no wound, you will open a door to death.
We have walked into darkness before. The scalpel is the only light.
Kazu pushed the blade into the mass. A pale, worm-like thing wriggled out, and Sula gasped.
This is no curse. It is a parasite. Cut out every one, or it will devour them.
The first removal was crude, but the patient's fever broke by morning.
But some will call this butchery. I need the tribe's trust now more than ever.
Kazu cut the parasites from a dozen bodies, and a dozen lives returned from the brink. But as the plague receded, Chief Torak's breath grew shallow. Age, not the worm, was his hunter.
You carved a new path for our people. I die in peace knowing the blade is in your hand.
It was not a spirit's gift, Father. It was the craft of a healer who refused to let darkness win.
The old chief's eyes fluttered shut, and his chest stilled. The cave fell silent.
He stood for me when the mob howled. Now the duty is mine alone to bear.
Kazu walked to the forest's edge, the scalpel cold against his thigh, and felt the weight of every stitch he had ever pulled.
My hands are not young. Makoto must hold the blade soon. I will not wait for my own end.
The decision was made. The Obsidian Scalpel would have a new master, but only after a test of fire. A man with 6 parasitic growths was laid on the stone. Makoto's hands did not tremble.
He must pass this test on his own. A healer is born in solitude.
The scalpel traced a line, swift and sure. Kazu saw his own hand in the boy's. One by one, the pale worms were drawn out. The patient's breath steadied. When the last suture was tied, the tribe erupted. Makoto had earned the blade.
This blade was born from a shard in the dirt, but it is the mind that gives it life. Use it with knowledge, not belief. The torch is now yours. Let the cave never return to darkness.
The old healers wept. A new chapter had begun for the healing haven.
My work is done. Now I must trust the hands I've shaped.
The original blade rested on its shelf, a promise of infinite surgery. Years passed. The old healer walked through a city of wood and hide, built around the sacred stone. Makoto's hands moved with the same quiet confidence. Nala and Sula taught, their voices the new hymns. The walls sang. Painted obsidian knives, closed wounds, and faces of the saved replaced the old hunts. A child ran up, clutching a small obsidian flake. Her eyes were full of the same fire.
A steady hand and a sharp mind. That is all you need. The stone will obey.
She scurried off, dreaming of the day she would inherit the legacy. He stopped at the shrine. The original blade, worn but still sharp enough to split a hair.
This cave was a tomb. Now, it is a womb, life after life, because of one black shard.
From ritual cave to healing haven, the Obsidian Scalpel had written its own story, infinite surgery. And so, the legend began across the lands. The descendants of Kazu's first students carved obsidian blades and passed down his teachings. In frozen tundra and scorched desert, healers whispered the same prayer. Ash and boiling water. Generations rose, and the legend of the healing haven became etched into the stones of history. Then the world changed. Steel replaced stone, but the mind remembered the first edge. A modern surgeon held a steel scalpel, but on the wall behind him hung a framed obsidian shard. One obsidian scalpel, one act of defiance, one cave, and surgery became infinite. The cave, now a sacred site, stood as a monument to the healer who defied death. And so the first surgeon became eternal. The legend of the Obsidian Scalpel was not just a story. It was the foundation of medicine itself. The end, centuries later, a young explorer pushed aside the vines and stepped into the forgotten cave. The walls still whispered with ancient paint. Obsidian knives, closed wounds, the faces of the saved. On a stone shelf, untouched by time, lay a black shard of volcanic glass. She picked it up and traced the edge. It split the air with a whisper of eternal sharpness. She gasped. The blade was not a relic, it was a promise. The cave held its breath as she placed it back, her mind already racing with the story it told. On the wall, a plaque read, "The Obsidian Scalpel, Infinite Surgery." And in the silence, a silhouette flickered. A man holding a blade, the first surgeon, the first healer who defied death with a blade of glass, his spirit forever watching over the cave. The first surgeon, a title etched not in stone, but in the lifeblood of every saved soul. The explorer retreated, taking only the story. The obsidian edge remained, waiting. A black shard, still sharper than any modern steel, rested on its ancient shelf. In a bright operating room, a surgeon lifted his steel blade, the latest in a long line. Behind him, framed in quiet reverence, hung a shard of volcanic glass, the ancestor. His hands paused. In that moment, 1,000 generations of healers stood with him. A student traced an old illustration of the first scalpel, her heart beating with a familiar fire. She mouthed the words etched in every textbook: ash and boiling water, a steady hand, a sharp mind. The torch in the cave flickered one last time, as if Kazu himself nodded in approval. The black blade had done its work. Surgery was infinite now, and in every hand that held a scalpel, from ancient cave to sterile room, a whisper persisted: heal. The explorer left the cave, its walls still holding the warmth of ancient torches and the echo of a healer's vow. The obsidian scalpel remained on its stone bed, as it had for 100 generations, forever sharp, forever waiting. In a sterile room, a surgeon paused, his mind touching the same ancient truth: to cut is to heal, to risk is to save. A child drew a crooked scalpel on a dusty stone, her tongue poked out in concentration, the fire already lit. The cave paintings, faded but true, still showed the first surgery. A man, a blade, a life reclaimed from darkness. Kazu's silhouette no longer stood at the cave mouth, but his shadow stretched across every hospital, every clinic, every hand that refused to let go. The legend of the obsidian scalpel was never a secret kept, but a fire passed from hand to hand, mind to mind, from the first incision in a smoky cave to the last breath of a fading world. The promise remained: infinite surgery. The cave's torch guttered, but never died. It would burn as long as anyone picked up the blade and remembered the prayer. Ash and boiling water, a steady hand, a sharp mind. For all time, the healer's creed. The end.